Tonight we are doing a panel, which I'm very excited about, on seniors and cannabis. I think this is a very important subject for our human community, actually. Seniors right now are on pharmaceuticals at alarming rates, and cannabis is something that could help seniors, and it could really change so many millions of lives right now. So I'm very happy for everyone who's here tonight for our talk. We have two wonderful women with us, Patty Pappas and Melody Montgomery. I'm very thankful to have these beautiful and knowledgeable women, and we're going to dive right in. So what I want to start with is talking about some stats on cannabis and seniors. There's very interesting stats that are happening right now. The self-reported use of cannabis by older adults and or seniors has grown significantly in recent years. The fastest growing demographic reporting marijuana use in the United States is those adults ages 55 and older. Nationwide, an estimated 9% of those ages 50 or older report having consumed cannabis within the past year. Nationwide, an estimated 9% of those ages 50 or older report having consumed cannabis within the past year, comparing older non-medical and medical cannabis users. Between 2016 and 2018, the self-reported use of cannabis among those ages 65 to 69 nearly doubled to 8% among men and to nearly 4% among women. Recent trends in cannabis use in older Americans is growing. The percentage of U.S. adults ages 65 and older who report cannabis use within the past year has doubled in recent years to 4.2%. So what we're seeing here is a trend, and I wanted to just share some stats just to give people an understanding that this is a huge, huge community. Baby boomers, baby boomers. Right now, we want baby boomers to adopt cannabis use. We want baby boomers to get off of pharmaceuticals. So I'm going to start with giving Melody and Patty a chance to introduce themselves. Let's start with you, Melody. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your work in cannabis.
Thanks. Yes. So my name is Melody Montgomery. I am 65 years old, about to be 66. I started a group called Tokeland Senior, and we hang out in Oakland, and we try to support seniors, and we teach seniors how to use cannabis. We have different vendors and mentors that donate to us, so we can give product to our seniors, and we hang out. We have a good time. We meet once a month. So we do that, and then I also have another thing called Learn What's Right for You, where I actually teach all kinds of people how to use cannabis, beginners especially. I have a lot of seniors that have aches and pains, and so they don't want to use Vicodin, they don't want to use the heavy drugs, and so they turn to me, and I try to help them figure out, what things work for them, so they can continue to have healthy and vibrant lifestyles. So those are things that I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Melody. Patty, can you tell us about your work?
Sure. My name is Patty Pappas, and I'm a co-founder of a company called Hello Again. And we make infused vaginal suppositories for women in menopause. Women in menopause right now, we have more lines coming out. But so if you think there's a stigma around cannabis, menopause, and suppositories, it was like a trifecta of, education and things we have to get through to get, these products into people's hands. But my business partner, Carrie, and I walked into a dispensary one day with no relationship really to cannabis. It was a few years ago as it had become legal in California. We thought it was just going to be kind of a fun trip and to learn a little bit about maybe buy an edible or poke around. And we did. And we had some help from some really great staff and bud tenders that day, and started learning about the cannabis plant. We were blown away at all the things that the cannabis plant could do for us as women our age. We started talking to each other about our symptoms and what we were going through. I hadn't slept in 15 years, really seriously. And Carrie had taken herself to a memory clinic because she couldn't remember anything and she thought she was losing her mind. And so we were having similar symptoms as many women are in this stage of life. And the answer was right there in this dispensary. And we were so excited to find it. And then it took us down this journey of trying to find the right product for us. And we couldn't find it, so we created it ourselves for ourselves. So that's our story.
Yay.
That's so nice.
Proactive. I love it. And as I said, I'm Julie Chiarello. I own Skunk Magazine. I'm the editor-in-chief at Skunk Magazine. Skunk Magazine is a 16-year-old cannabis publication. We're a global publication. We have 4,000 doors across North America. We're in all the Barnes & Nobles and retail locations, both in US and Canada. And we have 1,000 subscribers globally that read the magazine. We also are the only cannabis magazine devoted to organic cultivation practices. And I'm a certified herbalist of 25 years. And so it's important to me, I have an herbalist, Brigitte Mars, writing in the magazine every issue, doing a column on herbology, so that, it's important. For me, it's important that people not only have cannabis as a medicine, but they also are connected with all of the plant allies that are available to us. And they're there for us. And we want more and more people to become aware of this. So let's go ahead and dive into some questions with these wonderful women. First question I want to jump into. What are your thoughts on the level of cannabis education you find within dispensaries? And how well can average bud tenders provide product recommendations for women over 50?
Well,
Patty?
It is difficult as a brand because unless the staff at the dispensary really understands your product and what it's for, they're not going to put it in the hand of somebody who might need it. So it's always a challenge. There are great dispensaries. I was looking for Candace Hughes. She was here earlier. Oh, there she is. And she does such a good job at Glass House, specifically at Pharmacy Santa Ana. And she does webinars, constantly educating people on cannabis and wellness and motherhood and everything. She does such a great job, and we're so thankful for that partnership. But that is unusual. That is not normal. So, we're always working to try to get the staff. They should be trained anyway in cannabis, but then specifically on the products that are in their store, so they can help match a consumer when they come into the right product.
Melody?
Oh, it's difficult when you go in if you don't really specifically know what you're looking for. I find that it's the level of education for what we need, because we have a lot more aches, pains. We're dealing with other things here, totally other things. So it would be lovely to see more people over 50 behind the actual counter when you go to a dispensary, so that you have a peer-to-peer kind of relationship. I find that a lot of seniors, it's hard for them to go in as, we're grown-ups, and to ask what you look at as like somebody that's barely 21 in the shop, and now you want to get advice from what you're looking at as a real young kid. And it would be nice to see more seniors. So when I walk in, I see somebody that looks, my age, looks like me, I can tell they've related to me before. You've been here. So, it's hard.
What I find inspiring about both of you is that you've created from a place of need. You didn't try and create something and hope that it was well received. You said, what is actually needed in the marketplace? What is missing? What is missing? There is a missing piece here in just pushing retail products without any thought to humans and what they actually need to be healed, healthy, and whole. So here, two women were inspired because it wasn't there, so they went and created it. So can you talk a little bit about your experience and realizing there's not a thing there for me and how I want people to be educated? I know as an herbalist, I find that it's very, very lacking the knowledge or the education for people to learn about plants and plant medicine. So can you talk about a little bit about, okay, now you know the problem, so talk about what you created and also some other products in the space that you think are really great? I know you have your line. I know you have been asked, you said, listen, I started creating a consultancy because so many people were asking me what to do because they didn't know.
That's
so
exactly how
can
it
we talk a
started.
little bit about the products you created and then also some of the products that you really like in the space right now and why?
Well, I think when we were looking for a product, the number one thing we wanted was not to get high. And we didn't really associate, we thought we were going to dispensary, that everything in there was going to get you high. Not that we didn't also want to get high, but as our source of wellness, like we wanted to get on with our day, go to work, have meetings, drive, all that kind of stuff. So it was really important for us to find something that didn't get us high. The second thing, which was a little bit of a challenge, was to find consistency, a product with consistency that, if you had the same amount as I had, we would have the same experience. That just doesn't happen. If you have an edible, it'll affect you one way, it might affect me a different way. And it could affect me a different way every time I take it. So we wanted to know every time you used a product that you knew what was going to happen to you every time you used it. And that's how we came up with the vaginal suppository, because through that delivery system, you can actually use quite a bit of THC and get that entourage effect and not get high, and you know exactly what's going to happen to you every time you use it. So that's how the suppository came to form.
Pause right there, and then I'll go to you, Melody. But that's really insightful, what you said, that basically, gosh, I totally spaced what you just said. I wanted to comment on something that you said that was so good.
Consistency and
the
then
consistency.
Yeah.
That's one thing that's been, a lot of times when the retail products are pushed, people aren't getting, they don't know which companies are actually doing consistent products and high-level product. So let's go to you, Melody. I forgot what I was going to say. I'm sorry. So sorry. Please tell me, what was your experience in creating from a place of need? And then
I'll talk about a couple things.
And then the product.
For the Tokeland Senior Group, we started as a larger Bay Area group. It was just called East Bay Canna. And there were probably 100 to 150 people that were meeting on the... Yes, hi, Mike, East Bay Canna. There was probably 150 people or so meeting every month at Lake Merritt in Oakland. And what I found was that there was no place, there's no chairs out there. Okay, do you know how hard it is for people with knee problems, hip problems, back problems to get up and down off the ground, So I started talking to a girlfriend that was standing by me, and she was like, I really want to sit down there. And I was like, yeah, me too, but we can't get back up. So we decided that there should be a place like this where we gather and we smoke cannabis and we talk about products and we just have a good time, but it's surrounding seniors, a place where there's chairs, a place where it's accessible. So I met with another woman. We decided to do a thing. We started talking to people. We found a place. They donated us a spot called EVB, which is no longer there, but they donated us a spot for a few years. And we met there every month, and we did that because there just wasn't a place for us. I mean, we were always welcome in the larger community. I'm not saying we weren't welcome, but it was not comfortable for us. And this place we went, it already had chairs, it had indoor bathrooms, it had an elevator, it had everything we needed. So we created that because we wanted that space. I created my other business, Learn What's Right for You, because after they found out I went to Oaksterdam, people were calling me, texting me, Facebook. Every time I'd turn on my phone, I'd have 10 to 15 messages every morning. My knee hurts, my back hurts, my ear hurts. Is it okay for my mom to smoke weed? She's pregnant. All these questions. And it got really difficult for me to answer them in depth, just through the messaging. And I found I really needed to sit with people and talk to them more so I could get deeper about what it was. I just didn't want to throw them some medicine. Hey, go smoke an indica, you're going to be okay in the morning. Because we all know that's not how it works for everybody. We're all different. So I created the whole business where people can come to me, sit with me for an hour, and I talk to them about what's going on with them, and try to guide them. And I'm not going to say I give them a prescription, because we don't do that. We guide people in directions that we think will be good for them. Right?
I mean, it's so important what you're doing. A friend of mine was having back problems last week, and she called me. She would never use cannabis. Her regular medicines now were not working. She couldn't sleep. She was in pain. She asked me to recommend something. She was going to get something through a delivery service. So I looked up, there was a big company and they do a great job and they make beautiful products, but it's all kind of ratio based. It's all 3-to-1, 5-to-1, CBG, CBN, THC. I could see it's super confusing for somebody who doesn't understand it to pick a product. And I looked on the menu and there was a 3-to-1 and a 1-to-3 tincture, 2 different tinctures. And I looked at the description and it was almost word for word the same description. So, I mean, how is that possible? How could those 2 products be doing the exact same thing? They just didn't take the time to explain it in a better way so that somebody could understand which would work better for them. So brands need to do a better job. Dispensaries could do a better job.
Brands need to do a better job.
To educate themselves too.
And you both brought up a really good point, and I think it's really important for us all to remember is, one, know thyself. It was on above the Oracle of Delphi for a reason. And we have to basically, with cannabis, it's so different than any other plant that I've encountered. With other plants, you have to observe, how does your body react to it? How does your body respond? How did that dose work for you? You both mentioned tritation, right? So tritation. So over time, our body gets used to a medicine. And, with cannabis, I think a lot of times in the retail market, it's being missed that we have to observe ourselves taking cannabis. We have to observe how cannabis affects us. As an herbalist, I like tinctures. I use tinctures every night. I use a 100 mg tincture every night before bed. And it's my medicine. I also use full spectrum oil, whole plant medicine. Whole plant medicine, that's the whole plant extracted in a cold method, cold extraction, in alcohol. The alcohol evaporates off and all that's left is the whole plant medicine. It's a very powerful medicine. It's the medicine that's healing people of cancers. And it's the thing that's helping people with epilepsy, leukemia. Why? Why is it working? It's working because every single human being has an endocannabinoid system. Most people do not know about this. This is a scientific discovery that happened in the 90s. We all have an endocannabinoid system, and the plant cannabinoids mimic human cannabinoids. We produce human cannabinoids, but when you take cannabis, the plant cannabinoids mimic the human cannabinoids, and they go in and do what human cannabinoids are supposed to do. And they create homeostasis in our body. That's why cannabis works as a medicine, because the plant cannabinoids go in and they go into a system, say your liver's not working properly. The plant cannabinoids know to go into the area of your liver and help the liver to heal and come into balance. This is an intelligent system, but only 15% of our doctors know about the endocannabinoid system, even though it is scientifically proven. This is science, and it's being withheld from human beings. And it's wrong, because millions of people could be benefiting right now from cannabis as a medicine.
Say it.
And it's not about money making and selling products. That's not what it's about. So we need to stand up. Yes, we want people to find good medicine. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it some more, about what plant medicines. I've been seeing incredible results from full spectrum oil, the whole plant medicine. The full spectrum oil works for so many different type of people. It's a miracle. I don't know. Let's talk about, what have you guys been seeing? What is working for people?
I can't take the RSO because even though it's supposed to have all of the alcohol out of it, there's something still in the RSO that bothers my stomach.
Okay.
So I take tinctures that are oil-based.
Great.
I make a lot myself.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Talk about those tinctures, because I think more people should use tinctures. They don't know that they can use them. They think that they have to smoke, and you don't have to smoke.
No, you can. I use olive oil. I use different kinds of coconut oil, MCT. I use all different kinds of oil, butter. And I'm a hash person, which is a concentrate. So I make all of my edibles. Yes, I see hash people back there. I make all my edibles and my topical that I make out of hash. And
Let's talk about that, because I would say that hash medicine is a superior medicine in the marketplace right now. If you see a gummy that's a hash gummy, that's probably a better gummy than if you see a gummy that just has an isolate. Isolate, if you don't know what an isolate is, they can extract and isolate a constituent of the plant. So it makes it extremely strong. So when you take an isolate, you're taking a very concentrated form of that plant. And they can isolate different things. They can isolate CBG. They can isolate CBN. Most people don't know there are 100 plus cannabinoids in the cannabis plant, which is crazy. Everybody talks about THC. That's only one cannabinoid in the plant. There's 100 plus cannabinoids. And each cannabinoid does something different. So I would say hash medicine, Patty, what do you think? Hash medicine, to me, has been a superior medicine that has come into the marketplace.
Yeah, I don't really know much about hash medicine, but I'm going to educate myself after this talk, that's for sure.
so I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, we use a distillate for the suppository, but we build up the terpene profile with added botanicals. So we have terpenes from other plants added in to sort of help target the symptoms that we're trying to target.
And why do you do that? Tell people, why is it important to not just have THC, but to have the terpenes? Why are terpenes important?
Yeah, so I mean, the most obvious would be our sleep formulation. There's chamomile terpenes in there. There's lavender terpenes in there for the obvious reasons to help you relax and help target, calmness and sleep. So we're just trying to build up the terpene profile of the product along with the CBD and the THC.
I want to definitely say something also about terpenes, and I don't know if you also have insight, but for me as an herbalist, I've been really, my understanding has evolved in the last year, especially because terpenes have really come so much into the conversation, and I'm happy they have. But what I've learned is that terpenes are everywhere. Terpenes are a part of everything. They're a part of food. They're a part of sex. They're a part of everything. They're a part of what makes life pleasurable, and they're a part of what can heal us. When you're looking in the dispensary, look for medicines that have terpenes or have an understanding of what the terpene profile is and list it. Some of the best brands are saying, this is the terpene profile, these are the terpenes present, these are the cannabinoids present, these are the concentrations of those cannabinoids. Those are the brands you want to look for that can help you actually heal, because they're actually good medicine.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of really good packaging. One of the rare good things about Prop 64 was the packaging. They have to put stuff on the label, like everything's on the label. I love that everything's on the label. Teresa, what's the name of that company we just bought those really yummy dabs from? It had everything on the label. The watermelon mimosa. The cream of the crop. Yeah, that's a good one. Cream of the crop.
Oh, cream of the crop.
Cream of the crop. It's a concentrate. I just am new to this specific brand, but I loved it because it had a complete terpene profile on the box. And I think it's really important in it, because then you'll know as you educate yourself about which terpenes do what, because some terpenes are uplifting, some terpenes are relaxing, and basic terpenes. Food has terpenes. If you feel like you get too high on something, did you know that you could just grind black pepper and the terpene smell from black pepper will calm you down? Yes, I've seen it work. I've actually seen it work. But it can work with just regular pepper, but it works better if you can fresh grind the pepper. That terpene will just bring you down and calm you and take the jitters and the anxiety away if you've gotten something that's just not right for you. Yeah.
But that's the hardest part. Now we're talking about terpenes, then we were talking about ratios, then we're talking about cannabinoids, and it's so hard to understand the mix of it all. I was walking in here today and I wished every dispensary could have sort of that hallway of science and history as you walked in so you could study it before you get into the shop. So that's where it would be nice for the staff to have sort of all that already at their fingertips to start with, but it's hard. It's a hard,
Yeah,
you
good
have to
point.
keep trying.
We're dealing with 125 years of cannabis prohibition, and that's what I'd like everyone to remember here is that you're dealing with that. When you go into the dispensary, you're dealing with the effects of 125 years of prohibition. And it's messed up because there's no science. They've suppressed the science. They haven't let us study the plant. They haven't let us do the trials. They've made it very difficult for us to practice and study and utilize the science. So just remember that when you're going into the dispensary, you're not getting what you should be getting in terms of understanding about the plant. And it's not the bud tender's responsibility.
It's your
The bud tender's
responsibility to
making
educate yourself.
minimum wage, and they're the one that's supposed to guide the patient. I mean, come on.
Well, it's tough
This
too
is
because
ridiculous.
It's expensive.
It is expensive.
A good product it has a lot put into it, and cannabis has a lot of expenses attached to it, so it's expensive, and you don't want to make a mistake. So, you do have to keep trying and finding out what's best for you, but if you can educate yourself as much as possible, then you won't make that mistake.
It's a definite journey. It's not like you can take an ibuprofen and most times your elbow's going to stop hurting. It's not exactly like that. It's a journey for everybody, so you have to be willing to go on that journey. I heard somebody speak one time, and they were saying that one of the things that they spoke to people in public about, one of their main phrases that they used was, "Don't fear the euphoria." And I thought that is just an interesting phrase because people were sitting right in that room and they were drinking alcohol, but they had some questions about what that weed was going to make them feel. And I just loved that phrase, "Don't fear the euphoria," because how scary is euphoria? Like, it's not scary at all.
Pleasure. What's wrong with pleasure?
And I told her I'm going to steal
why have
that.
they made pleasure so bad? Excuse me, we should have some pleasure around here. So, okay, I think that's really, really important. Another thing I think is important is, when we go in to ask, where was this grown? How was this grown? Who was it grown by? Don't just take whatever's on sale. Don't just, yes, everybody has financial issues here, and a lot of people are struggling financially right now. But don't just buy the cheapest thing that they're pushing if you can help it. If you can ask, if you can find out, where was it grown? It was grown by a small farmer in the hills of Humboldt, and it's organic, and it was very well cared for. The plant was very well cared for, and the medicine is superior, because I know now that this company was grown in this way. And I think this is a really important thing for consumers, is to not be afraid to ask questions.
And then once you have those answers, know who you like. Like, there's specific people and specific brands that I know I like all the time. And every time I buy this thing, I'm going to feel this way, and that's exactly what it's going to do. So, there's time to experiment for me, because I do all the weeds, right? So I have all the weeds. I use topicals. I make my own topicals. I use edibles. I smoke cannabis. I love hash. I do dabs. Did I leave anything out? Vape pens. I will drink the drinks. I don't do anything alcohol. I don't drink alcohol at all. No type of alcohol. So all of my fun pleasure and all of my pain relief comes from this marvelous plant.
Yeah, and thank you for mentioning all the different forms. Because a lot of people don't know, my grandmother, she's 94, and she now reads the magazine, and she calls this, she never wanted to smoke, but she opened herself up to doing a cream, and she calls it her miracle cream, and it works for her arthritis. It heals her pain. As soon as she puts it on, she is relieved of pain. She's living a higher quality of life. And it just hurts my heart, I have to say, that so many people who could be living a better quality of life and off of pharmaceuticals that are making them numb and hurting their liver and hurting their bodies, they don't know. They're not allowed to know. Their doctors don't know. They don't know. So I would just say, if you know, please be willing to talk to your seniors in your life. Because we're just thinking about ourselves, us 30-year-olds, us 40-year-olds, us 50-year-olds. But we have to think about our seniors. So be willing to talk to them, even if it's uncomfortable, and go in with the science. Go in with the science and share the science, because the science is what changes people's minds. My grandmother's mind has changed now. Now she's a defender of cannabis. When she used to, cross-examine me at the door of why my eyes were red, and she was against it. But now she's a total believer, and she's a fighter for it, and it's from the science. So I would just say, be willing to talk about the science.
Yeah, if we're going to talk about it, I think, soon. But
Yeah.
I think that's one of the main things that we do is we that use cannabis in all the ways, we that make cannabis, seniors, all of us that aren't seniors, if you're in a position, because I know a lot of us, or a lot of you, not me, I'm retired, I don't have to worry about that one, but a lot of people are still in a job where you maybe get tested or it's an issue, or if you speak out, you could risk your job. So I'm not asking people to risk their jobs or anything like that. But if you're in a position to do that, come out of the cannabis closet. Speak to people. Come out of the dark and into the light. Speak to people. That's how we make it. That's how we make it okay. We show people that we do it. I'm okay. I raised 2 children. I was a chair of the IT for Alameda County, Contra Costa County, and the city of Oakland, all at the same time, all while raising my children and smoking weed and doing all the things that I do. We have to tell people that we're living our lives like this, and it's normal, and we're okay, and that's how we make it okay. Because I think that through the stigma, a lot of people still see weed as people, they're going to be stoners, they're going to be non-productive, we're just going to be couch potatoes. And so we that do a lot, we that live healthy, vibrant lives, we have to be willing to stand up and say that and make it normal.
Yeah, I wish, listening to the motherhood talk before now, all my children are in their 20s, and I wish I had discovered cannabis when they were younger. It would have made things a lot easier. But anyway, it's too late.
No, it's amazing.
Okay, so I was raised war on drugs. I didn't really have a relationship with cannabis. My kids, when they were in high school, I would not let them, I would be upset if I had found out they smoked pot. Now I'm like, oh, look what I got at work, and I'm handing them joints. Please don't have a shot of tequila, smoke a joint. It's like a complete flip-flop. They think it's hysterical. But it's so much better. I would much rather have them do something with the plant than alcohol or prescription medication.
Right. It's mommy's little helper. It's like, okay, like cannabis actually is more helpful than alcohol is. But alcohol is extremely accepted as a way for people to unwind and relax.
And easy to get.
Yes.
Like on every corner.
I know one woman who takes an Ambien, and at night she won't have anything to do with cannabis, absolutely not. But she has an Ambien when she goes to sleep, and then she has several sizes of an Ambien pill depending on what time she wakes up. If it's 1 o'clock, she'll take the quarter. If it's 3 o'clock, she takes a little, and she has this whole system set up. I'm like, please, just have an edible. Just try something natural, because then she's out of it every day. She can't function.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's really what we're looking at. Did you want to say something,
Yeah,
Melody?
Just one other thing.
Absolutely.
There's a little story. I
I
have
would
a
love
little
to.
anecdote.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm watching YouTube one day, and I see this older gentleman, and this is also part of the reason that I started doing the senior thing and doing education. And he's so excited because he just got back from the dispensary. I don't know if any of you have seen this video, but he's an older gentleman. He's got big old long white beard. And he's so excited. He just got back from the dispensary. He's like, I'm throwing away these drugs. And he takes his bag of drugs, and throws them away. And then he gets his weed out, and he puts it in the pipe. And then he lit the bottom of the pipe and tried to take a hit, like a crack pipe. Like, he didn't know how to smoke the weed that he just got to help him. And my first instinct was to laugh, right? I thought, and then I was like, oh, that's not even funny. This man just spent all that money and all that time and threw away his drugs. So now somebody has to teach him. Who's out there to teach him? And so, yeah, I think there's value in doing what we do publicly.
Yeah, we have we have this little pipe, a little reusable chillum, and it's crazy to me. We produce them. We gave out like 5,000 at the Emerald Cup, which is a cannabis competition that happens every year. And I gave out 5,000 of them, and it's been so interesting. A lot of the people who come up to me and say, could you please get me 10 more of those or 20 more of those? They're the best for me to use, is seniors. So many have asked me, and I've tried my best to get them.
They're easy to stuff. You don't have to cut up a lot of stuff. So if you have arthritis in your hands, you can just break the bud up very gently and put it in there. They're really easy to use.
And it's affordable. I mean, that's the thing, too, that bothers me is in the Prop 64 system, you know, it's about overtaxation, overregulation, and the patient has really been left out of the equation. If people remember with Prop 215, it was called the Compassionate Care Act. So it was based and centered around care for patients. And now we're dealing with the system that is just focused on retail, and it's doing a horrible job at it as well with overtaxation, not encouraging small businesses. So it's a real failure of a system, and we're all having to deal with it. And it's sad. It's sad to see seniors that can't afford to buy consistent medicine. I find that very sad.
Or people that can't get into the market, you know, just they have really good products. They're trying to do a thing, but it's so restrictive and so expensive, you know, that it's hard to do that.
It is interesting. There are a lot of dispensaries that do have compassion programs. We donate some products to that sometimes, but they're usually centered around vets. And I haven't really seen anything for seniors, so that's kind of an interesting thing to look at or talk to dispensaries about.
I used to have a couple dispensaries that I used to just go to, and then on a monthly basis they'd kick down weed and topicals and products for us. But one of them shut down, and the other one through Prop 64 wasn't able to get the compassion program on theirs because they're mostly a delivery, so they couldn't do a compassion. So it's really hard. So we have to depend on people like you and just other random vendors to give stuff. And I know a lot of, you know, personal growers, and they grow us really good, clean weed and make sure that we get the good stuff. And, you know, it is a market wherein Prop 64 didn't kill the underground. I mean, people are still out there doing what we do.
There's a teacher, or an artist. His name is Ivan. And he does these beautiful kind of scenes of what he imagines the future to be. And one of them that he did was at an elderly home, that instead of the elderly people being on pharmaceuticals, he created a scene where the elderly were smoking cannabis, eating cannabis edibles. And it was this beautiful scene because instead of the seniors being, you know, just completely out of it, completely shut down, if you've been to a senior home and how seniors are treated in this nation, It is deplorable. To me, it's deplorable how we treat our elderly. It's disrespectful. It's totally deplorable how we shove them with chemicals and pills. Yes, some of them are beneficial. I'm not against allopathic medicine. Allopathic medicine has its place. But believe me, I have a vision, and I think you guys do too, that we would have elderly centers where elderly people could get cannabis easily, and it could change their life. Let's be real. It creates appetite. It helps with metabolism. It helps with consistent pain. It helps with chronic pain. It's amazing what this plant can do. And please just realize that seniors need this. It's not just about the young people. It's not just about us and getting our good time. If there's any way that you can help, if there's any way that you could talk to the seniors in your life, if there's any way you can go and talk to the elderly center in your community, it could change hundreds of lives for the benefit of so many. So I just have to say, don't you agree?
There's a cool spot in the Bay Area, Rossmore Senior Living, and they actually have a farm where they grow their own flower and bud right there on site in their gated senior community.
Tell us more about it.
It's called Rossmore, and I've been invited to go speak there, so I will tell you more when I know more.
We should cover it in the magazine.
We should do that. But yeah, there's a complete community of seniors that are living in a senior community. I think it's Pleasant Hill. I want to say Pleasant Hill area, and they grow their own flower, and that's part of what they do. They meet on a weekly basis and do like a little farmers market, and people hand it out, and they get it, and they harvest together, and it's an amazing thing. I don't know any other place that's doing that in California, at least. But it's called Rossmore, if any of you all are interested. Rossmore.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. Yeah, and just be willing, I would say, to realize that you can go and you can talk to a senior and you can change their life. Literally, you can change their life.
So we did an event a couple years ago, again with Glass House, Santa Barbara, and we went up to a senior living facility, and we had someone come speak about cannabis, and they had told us, probably maybe 10 to 12 people would come. And first we were at the facility, it was packed. I mean, it was amazing the questions these people they were dying for some alternative for wellness, and then they had a bus to take them to the dispensary in Santa Barbara at the pharmacy where they were waiting to answer all their questions and help them looking at all the different products. And they tell us all the time, they're making deliveries to this home now all the time. Like people have switched over. They just needed to learn about it and be exposed to it and have sort of that first experience taken care of, and then they take it from there. But they were I couldn't believe it. I mean, that's all they wanted was to give up all those prescription medications.
I want to keep an eye on the time, but I also want to open the floor for questions. Unless we want to continue. But I would love to see what other questions are out there. Okay. So can we take some time to, does anyone have questions in the audience? Anyone know? No one?
Knowledgeable people in the house.
Okay.
Do you find that the child-proof packaging is really difficult for you to open?
God.
Good question.
Oh, the bane of my current existence and cannabis products is child-proof packaging. Thank you for bringing that up. I've had to go ask my husband to get into my medicine, and sometimes that means that I've had to wait until 11 o'clock at night when he gets off of work and comes home for him to come and open my medicine. It's ridiculous that I have medicine that's approved by the state of California as medicine, but I have to have somebody to open it for me? Yeah, childproofing is over the top.
I have one product in my drawer in my kitchen that it's been like 2 years. I still can't figure out how to open it. And I just keep it in there as like a challenge. Like someday I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to get into this magic box. I don't even know what's in there anymore. But it's the worst. But
It's gonna have
They're
much
so
CBN in
ridiculous.
it. By the time you
It's
open
just-
it, it's going to be so full of CBN, you'll just go,
It's
nap
not
time.
eco-friendly, and it's impossible to open. Like, what kind of situation is this? It's not a good one. Yeah, we need way better child-proof packaging. I mean, and it just, there's a lot of issues with our current system,
Adult-proof,
isn't there?
senior-proof.
Yeah. Senior-proof.
They don't
They
want
become
us to get in there, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Do we have any more questions?
Thank you for this panel. This has been great. It's something that definitely, we need to talk about, and we need to get more people out there educating seniors. So what kind of pushback have you gotten? Because I actually do the senior program that Patty was talking about, and I do go to some senior facilities, and they are not ready to talk about cannabis. I might reach out to 100. I might have like 5 that are willing to have me come and speak. So what have you found as a good way to like break down that barrier to have them like as a center, as like an organizer to allow us to come and to speak at their facility?
Great question.
Presentation to the business. Okay, so I've had very good luck going to senior spots and asking to speak and being invited to speak at different convalescent and homes. But I think it has to do with they don't see me as a kid speaking to them. So senior representation, if you get more peer-based to go in to speak to them, they may look at it a little different and be, come, like Julie said, come with medicine and come with good, solid products. We're not just bringing bags of weed in, right? We're bringing product in.
That's a very, very good thing. Representation for seniors and senior activists. Seniors everything. Let's just celebrate seniors way more and take care of our seniors way more. That's what I think. What do you think?
I mean,
You're
I
welcome
think if
to
you
celebrate
have
us.
a facility and you invite seniors to come, it may take a minute, but the power of word of mouth is really strong, and so I think it would build momentum. So you just have to keep offering it, and I think they'll come.
Yes, and keep giving different ways that they can receive the medicine and finding ways that you can get in there and have the conversation. That's all we can do, right, is plant those seeds.
Yeah, my friend's mom was really suffering with some hip problems. Like it's something she was born with. I can't think of what is that word, but she was born with it, and she's lived a long time with this pain. And he wanted her to try something, and she didn't want to. And so he brought her to me because she's just a couple years older than me. And I sat with her and talked to her, and I just brought out everything I do. And I'm like, I'm not trying to get you to do all these things, but you've talked to me for 3-4 years, but I do all these things. And she's like, well, what do you suggest? So we tried her with a topical and an RSO, a high CBD RSO. And 3 days after she got back to New York, she called me and she was like, oh, I went to play chess with my friends today and I'm living my life and I love you and can I have some more, please?
Yes.
Hi. First of all, thank you so much for being here and for advocating for it. I'm a pharmacist, and I also advocate for both ends, pharmaceuticals, balancing it out with cannabis. My question for you is, and I don't know if I missed it earlier, but being an older woman myself, I'm in menopause. Have you seen any research benefits of cannabis in menopause as far as like symptoms go?
Absolutely. Let's dive into menopause.
I mean, I think if you look at some of the biggest symptoms of temperature control, temperature regulation, cannabis, check. If you look under getting a good night's sleep, check. If you look under like calming your nervous system, balancing your moods, check. I mean, it really checks the box. That's what hit us the first time we went into dispensary. When the bud tender was going through the list of like, oh, this helps with, anxiety, and this one helps with sleep, and we both were like, we have all of those symptoms wrapped up in one thing called menopause, and that's kind of took us on our journey to find the one product that we felt could address most of that stuff. But it definitely, if there's a little research you can find online, not much. They're not really researching cannabis, but they're really not researching cannabis for menopause right now. So hopefully that'll come. But there is a little bit you could look into.
Melody?
We kind of are the research right now. Like, we are the research. So we experiment, we try things, we figure out what works, and then we pass that along. Because there's such a lack of experiment, because we have to be the research ourselves. We have to be our own guinea pigs, our own test tube dummies, so to speak. So for me, I've tried a lot of things. I had a girlfriend who was making a product that was a roll-on product that you rolled on the back of your neck. If you got a hot flash and it just, boom, it would kill the hot flash. And I can't make medical claims, but I know that 4 or 5 of the women, the older women in my group used it, and their hot flashes just went away. It didn't work like so severely, so sweetly for me, but I watched other people, because we're all different in how our body accepts different things. So I got the instant relief, but it didn't just go away for me. But the whole thing is calming. Okay, so I found that for me, I don't sleep well, and when menopause came, I slept even worse. Okay, so I have a hard time going to sleep. I can't stay asleep. I'm up every 2 hours with a hot flash, the night sweats, all the stuff. So what I do is when I wake up with that night sweat or hot flash, I have my vape pen by my bed. So when I get up and I sit up, I have a hit. It calms me immediately down, and I can go back to sleep right now. It doesn't take me an hour or 45 minutes or 2 hours to get back to sleep. I go back to sleep right now, and I don't have any hangover when I wake up in the morning if I have to get up and go somewhere.
Yeah, it also helps with the anxiety that when you wake up in the middle of the night and that voice inside your head starts talking about, what you have to do the next day or what you didn't do that day, it helps with that. But I think
Yeah, it's time to wrap it up, but I would just say, with menopause, there's so many great products, and we're looking at something that is a multifaceted approach, and it's good to test some products, find out what are the best products at your local dispensary that you want to go to. Find out what are the best products there. And it's definitely what I've seen work well is a mixture. So you have a tincture, you have a cream, you have a gummy, and you do them all together and you do them consistently, and that creates relief for you, and that creates benefit.
That entourage effect.
Yeah, baby. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Patty
Thank
and
you.
Melody.
Everybody.
It was wonderful having you on this panel. Thank you, everyone, for attending.